This week on the Media Boss Podcast.
What I do is I try to connect as many people as I can, but they're not going to, some people are going to love my podcast, some people are not, and that's okay. I don't need the whole world. If I can affect one person with the podcast and change their life and impact them, I'm very happy.
Hey, everybody, welcome to another edition of the Media Boss Podcast. I'm Dr. Barrett Matthews, and I want to welcome you here today. Look, you already know, the people who are regulars here, you know I always say I have a great show, and it's because I have great guests. And today's guest is one of my best friends in the world. I love him dearly, and you're going to find out who it is in just a second. But for those of you who are here for your first time, I want to let you know, the Media Boss Podcast is a podcast for me to share those people that I know with you who are doing great things in business. I want you to learn about what made them successful, some of the trials they've gone through, and how you can do the same thing. Now, who am I? I'm Dr. Barrett Matthews of Media Boss Pro. And what we do at Media Boss Pro is we're turning high-achieving leaders into industry icons by leveraging media. So if you happen to be a CEO or retired C-suite executive and you're wondering, well, what do I do next after this? If you're a retired athlete or maybe even a coach in sports and you're wondering, how do I still stay relevant? Well, then you need to talk to me, because what we want to do is use media to make it so that you can be that go-to person so that you can share that information. Look, just because you retire doesn't mean your information has to retire, okay? Now, what we're going to do now is bring to you our guest. But first, before we do that, we want to let you know that the Media Boss Podcast is brought to you by GoBot Studio. You don't know what GoBot Studio is? I want you to check out this video real quick. Okay, how'd you like that? Do you think you might want to go back studio for yourself? Well, I want you to actually come back to me, and we'll talk a little bit later on how you can do that. Also, I want to talk to you guys, if you're in business and you're interested in going and seeing the world or traveling and doing business in different countries, I want you to talk to me also on that, because what we're going to do is show you how you can travel and see the world and pay low prices. And I mean seriously low when I talk to you about that. So we're going to do that. But I want to bring on my guest right now. This gentleman has been a friend of mine for a few years. It seems like a long time because we're so close to each other. He's my brother. I love him dearly, and I know he feels the same. But he has a podcast, and it's funny because I always say that he truly lives the title. I'm gonna let him tell you the title of his podcast, but he truly works and lives from his heart. And he's always giving. I don't ever recall him asking for anything, but he's always giving. And everyone I talk to about him says the same thing, that he's always giving. And because of that, he's grown that into a business model that I think everybody can follow. That's what they call a clue. So I want you all to understand that you might want to follow this gentleman and learn from him, because he is doing that. And I want to bring to you all none other than my good friend, my brother, Mr. Steve Ramona. Steve, welcome to the Media Boss Podcast, my friend.
Dr. Barrett, thank you so much. And what a wonderful introduction. And you're right. I had the same feelings for you, and I look forward to our future together.
Me too, my man. Me too. Look, I mean, the funny thing is, like I said, we've only known each other less than 5 years. Less than 5 years, but it seems like we've known each other so much longer. It's funny, I tell people, I said, there's people, I get asked so often, do you know Steve Ramona? I said, do I know him? I said, me and Steve have traveled together. We've gone in different places together. We've had lunch, dinner, everything together. And that's my man.
That's so great. Yeah, it's true. And it's great always to see people in person. You build that relationship a little deeper.
That's so true, because we were cool online, but you're right. When we got to spend time in person, that really just forged the bond with us. And it's funny because, and I don't know, you tell me if I'm right or wrong in this, there were other people that we met online, that we met in person then, but I feel the closest to you out of those people because we met in person, but I don't stay in contact with the other ones like the way I do with you. And I think
that's just human race. We're not going to connect with everybody.
That's true.
What I do is I try to connect as many people as I can,
Yeah.
but they're not going to, some people are going to love my podcast. Some people are not. And that's okay. I don't need the whole world. If I can affect one person with the podcast and change their life and impact them, I'm very happy.
And speaking of the word connect, it's funny. We met through our good friend Josh Tapp. Josh always says when he's introducing me to someone else, Barrett is the most connected person I know. And I'm like, no, I'm not. Steve Ramona is.
Yeah, I seem to hear that a lot. Super connector. And, Barrett, I'm going to call you Barrett because you're my buddy.
Oh, please. Yeah, please.
Not the doctor, you more carded is anybody can do this. You do it. You're a connector. What level?
Yeah.
You're connecting and helping and serving. But it's such a skill set you don't need to go to school for. You don't need to know a top mentor. You don't need to go to Tony Robbins or Elon Musk or the top guy in your business.
Yeah.
This serving and connecting is super simple. You just have to do it.
You're right. So let's talk about that. How did you get even started in doing that and connecting people?
It started way back at 18. My family launched a health club, and I just got out of high school. I was going to play community college football. And so I had summertime. I didn't have a job and say, why don't you come work for the health club? My cousin, Jeff, shout out to Jeff. I love my cousin.
Right.
I started working the front desk. Well, I'm 18 years old. We're 35, 45, 55, 85-year-old people are walking in.
Right.
And I've got to service them. And what it was is, hey, Barrett, welcome to the club. Hey, Barrett, have a great day. You do those pleasantries. But I realized after a few months, even a month, it was, hey, Barrett, how was your trip? Oh, it was great. Hey, Tony, did you have your grandbaby yet? So the conversations got deeper.
Yeah.
I was building relationships. And one quick story, Tony, a little short Italian guy, he's a financial advisor. He just loved me. He called me kid. Hey, kid. So he threw a book at me that was The Wealthy Barber. He says, read this. The next week, we'll talk about it. You tell me what you got out of it. Make sure you read it. Oh, I'll read a short book. At 18, you'll read a lot of books.
Yeah.
I did. He came in on Tuesday and he said, what'd you get from it? I says, basically it's saying take 10% of my income, my check, and put it away. Don't touch it. You got it, kid. Well, time went by. He finally left the club. He had retired. This guy was working with millions of dollars. And I looked at the account 10 years later. It's 28 years old. There was $68,000 there. I went, holy. Now, audience, remember, I was earning $5 an hour. Minimum wage was $5 an hour in 79.
Yeah.
And so this was about 1990. Still, minimum wage was low, but I wasn't making a lot of money.
Right.
But I realized I just won the lottery. So I called him and I said, Tony, hey, man, thank you so much. This is what happened. He goes, I'm excited for you. I said, that was your business. Can I pay you $1,000? He goes, no. I said, why not, man? You helped me out. He goes, you helped me because the universe talked to me. You took my advice. You ran with it, which 90% of my clients didn't, which is okay. I still made them money, but you did well. When I got off the phone, Barrett, I was like, oh my God, there's something to serving. And there's something to this universe thing. The more people you help, the universe will talk to you. And that started my entrepreneurial journey. But remember, I spent 20 years at the health club, walking through the club, meeting people. I probably met 10,000 people over 20 years.
Wow.
Well, my next opportunity was a restaurant. I called all those, not all of them, but a lot of the people that I built relationship with, and I turned that restaurant in 6 months, the #1 restaurant in the street. Because all my friends came. Oh, come see Steve. Oh my God, Steve's great. Because what did I do again? I built a relationship. Didn't burn bridges. I treated them right. I served them. So it's really powerful what this connecting and networking can do when done right.
I agree. And it's funny to say that because one thing I noticed about you, and I've had people say it about me as well, is that, you give a sense that I can trust you. And when people feel they can trust you, they're more Like, and then when I say trust, it's not that they're not going to give you your life savings, but what I mean is that they feel they can confide in you. They feel that you're not trying to rip them off. You're not trying to do harm to them. And it's one of those things that, and that doesn't preclude us from meeting people who are shady. But I think God protects us because we have those giving and servant hearts.
Yeah. Barry, you're a rock star, because that's
Oh,
a great comment. That really, because here's why. What happens when you give somebody an introduction? You give them a resource, a tip, you serve them in some way. The
mhm.
opportunity door opens because the trust is built. Because what a great way to start a relationship. Here, Barry,
Yeah.
here's two people I want you to meet. I think they can help you, whatever it may be. Hey,
Yeah.
here's a resource that will help you do what you're trying to do. Well, once that door opens, then when you go to ask, hey, I need help here. I'm looking for a guest here. I'm looking for this person here. They're more willing to look through their network.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like Christmas, give you a gift, you're going to probably give me a gift most of the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're going to be happy about it.
Yeah.
I think we get to do Christmas every day by giving these wonderful businessmen.
You know, it's funny. One of the people that I learned from is a mentor of mine is Dr. Myron Golden. And Myron, I remember, I've gone to dinner, breakfast, everything with Myron. We're good friends. And one thing I learned from him is when we go to restaurants, I've noticed that he says to the waitress, he said, after he's done this a couple times, he said, "What's the biggest tip you've ever gotten?" And the waitress will tell him. And then he will make sure he gives her an even bigger tip than she's ever gotten. And he says that I always believe in paying for good service. He said, and the reason I want to pay well he said, I'm happy to pay for good service. He said, the reason I'm happy to pay for it is because I want people to be happy when they pay for mine.
Amen.
It's
I love it.
reciprocation. You know,
I'll tell you a couple. And man, you're a rock. Audience, you better listen to these podcasts because this is great stuff. Real quick, we went out to eat with my wife and her sister, and we were talking. I forgot to leave a tip.
Yeah.
I'm going to pat myself on the back a little, but this is the servant mindset people can have. So I drove back the next morning or afternoon when I had free time and gave her the tip. She went, "Oh my God, Steve, you didn't have to do that." I said, "No, you had great service.
Yeah.
Here's a tip." But I didn't do that for the repercussion, the reciprocity.
You did it because you do the right thing. That's what you're
doing the right thing. I want you to have. She goes, "You could have paid me. What's going to happen next time I walk into that restaurant?"
Oh God,
fantastic service.
Yeah.
Again, I didn't do it for that, but
Right.
that's what happens when you serve and go the extra mile. And then here's a tip, taking Dr. Myron's tip. What I do is every time I get great service at a restaurant, and audience, this is a great way to practice serving. Just did it a couple weeks ago at a bar at Cheesecake Factory.
Okay.
Her name was Felicia. Let's just use Felicia. I don't remember her name. But our pot stickers came. There was only 5 instead of 6. Hey, right away she says, "We're discounting it. We'll take care of you." She was on top of it. The service was wonderful. So we get down about ready to pay and leave. I said, "Can you grab your manager?" She goes, "Oh my God, everything okay?" I said, "Just go grab your manager. I don't like to tell him."
I know where you're going.
Oh yeah. And then the manager walks over and she's shaking. She's literally, her hands are shaking. I'm like, "Hey, I got to tell you, Felicia was unbelievable. If I had a restaurant, I'd hire away from you, but I don't, and I won't." How many times do you hear that? She goes, "I hear it 3 times a year. 3 times a year that we tell our good service people," but she hears it every day or every week, the bad service. So you want to practice serving? Thank your clerks, thank your grocery clerks, your restaurant people when you go out. When they're good, be authentic, be genuine. It will change your life.
It will. And like you said about that, that's man, y'all better write that down and use it. And use it, because the thing is that you don't know how much people appreciate just being recognized. It's not about the money. There's so many people that need someone to say, "I see you. I see you. You're doing a good job." That's all because a lot of them don't get it from their manager. A lot of them don't get it from their coworkers, and they don't get it from the people they serve. So some of them don't even get it at home.
Yeah.
So if they hear it from somebody it can, you have no idea how much of a difference it can make in their life. And see, like I said, y'all don't know, I love Steve so dearly, because there's one thing I can say about, Steve, the best compliment that I ever received was, and it wasn't even given to me, it was said about me from someone I worked with. He said that someone had asked, he had a couple people that asked him about me. They said, "What do you know about Barrett?" And he says, "Barrett has integrity." That meant so much to me. And the thing is, and the reason I'm bringing this up, because that's how I feel about Steve. Steve has so much integrity. He's always going to do the right thing, and and you can't say that about everyone. You hope that about everyone. You would like to give people the benefit of the doubt on that a lot of times, but there's certain people you just know they're going to do the right thing, and sometimes it may be to their jeopardy to do the right thing.
No, yeah, I'm with you. I've done millions of dollars in deals and not made any money.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's okay. But what I learned from that audience, here's a great lesson, is now I ask, because of my podcast, building this massive network, as I just told you before we came on, that we've signed a whole multi-million-dollar deal for our company. I've never touched millions in my life, and it's now in front of me because I've served so many people. I've given people opportunities. I do a free podcast hosting workshop for anybody who wants to learn. I do business mentoring for free. And that's another tip, audience. Do free stuff.
Yeah.
If you can only do it once a month, do it once a month. I do it 3 times. It doesn't, or once a quarter, whatever time works for you.
Yeah.
But give stuff away free. Stuff that you learn from other people.
Yes.
And share with others.
And I love that. And so on that note, let's talk about your podcast. First, tell them the name of your podcast.
Doing Business with a Servant's Heart.
I told you, didn't I tell you guys? It fits. Because he has a servant's heart. He's always giving. And I tell people, before we came on today, Steve and I were joking about this, because I get people to ask me so many times, say, "Have you ever been on Steve Ramona's podcast?" And I chuckle, because Steve will tell you, I knew Steve before he had a podcast. And let me bring this up. First of all, his podcast is killing it. I mean, his podcast is great. It is doing wonderful. And I'm going to let him tell you like how well it's doing. But I knew Steve when he was just getting started, and he wanted to learn about how to do his podcast. And then we were all waiting for his launch, and then he finally launched. We're in a group together, and he finally launched it, and we were so happy for it. So I've been on his podcast before. A group of us have been on his podcast. He's been on my podcast before, and it's just that I'm so happy of this dude, man. That's my man. I'm happy for Steve.
And I see I'm being seen, and I'm being seen a lot more now. But every time I am, it feels good. That's why I know, Tony Robbins, I'm sure a lot of people tell me he's great. But when somebody tells me he's great, it maybe it lasts 5 seconds, 5 minutes, 5 hours. That doesn't matter. But having people being seen. But the podcast is exciting because it's media, which you're an expert at. And it's a cool media because I can build my network through that. And I have built my network with very successful people, great stories like Alfonso, who was in jail for 32 years, a murder he never did. Todd Blyleven, who was at the 2019 shooting in Vegas. He saved 100 people's lives. He's getting out there and helping them get out there. But incredible stories. Serena, who at 5 and 6 years old was sexually abused by her mom and her stepdad, lost her husband to suicide years later, who was the president of her company. But she reconciled with her mother and now best friends, and she's got a flourishing business. Yeah. Talk about obstacles overcome. So our goal is motivation, inspiration, education on this show. You might get 1, you might get 2, you might get all 3.
That's true.
That's the goal, that you can still serve and be successful and help others.
Oh, man, Steve, I hate ending this interview because I love talking to you about it, but we can talk whatever. But I want before we wrap up, is there anything you want to give to the audience to let them know, what's going on with you, anything that they can contribute to, or what it is that you're excited about?
Well, I'm excited because you don't know this yet. So I was on to surprise you. This is the surprise.
Okay.
So I just had a gentleman, Joshua Berglund, on my podcast, who's a media expert.
Okay.
He gave me a free book that I can give out to your audience that tells you how to build a media empire even for free.
Wow.
So I have the link. I'll get it to Barrett, or you can reach out to me at my email, stevr1961@gmail.com. And I'd love to give it. You reach out, any questions, I can get you involved with the podcast, hosting workshop, or my business mentoring. But that with Joshua was the perfect synopsis of my business, of what I do. I reached out for some sponsors. This guy said, "You need to meet Joshua." He didn't become a sponsor, which was okay. He became a guest of my podcast, and he threw me this book. "Hey, I want to help you, Steve, and I want to help others. Here's a book that I wrote that can help others." You treat people right, gifts come, and then I can share the gifts with others.
I love it. I love it. Steve Ramona, guys. Steve, thank you so much for your gift. Thank you so much for your other gift. And I want to just let you know that, man, you're always going to be brother to me, man. I appreciate you so much, man.
Thank you so much.
All right. Everybody, look, that was Steve Ramona here. I want you guys to make sure that you follow up with him. We're gonna give you the link to the gift that he's given everybody. I want to make sure you guys also can find out how you can get. Remember, I mentioned to you about getting that GoBox studio. I want to make sure you can get that, but I also want you guys to attend my next Make Money from Media Challenge. If you want to be a media boss, you need to attend my Make Money from Media Challenge. What is that? Check this out. So now, are you guys ready to be a part of the challenge? Are you ready to take the challenge? I think you're ready. So get registered right now, makemoneyfrommediachallenge.com. Get yourself registered for it. And we want to see you guys next time. I'm looking forward to helping all of you get to the top, because as I always say before we wrap up, remember, you are someone special because you are God's vessel. We'll see you next time on Media Boss Podcast.